political trends, where truth matters. Excited to be with you as always. And as I promised you guys, I will be doing the live stream here, my last one from Taiwan before I leave first thing tomorrow morning. First of all, if you will be kind and just let me know if you guys can hear me clearly, give me a thumbs up. So I want to make sure before I'll get into my conversation about this particular topic that I'm going to be addressing for you in this live stream. So just show me a thumbs up, please, that you can hear me. I will greatly appreciate it. All right, let me see here. Oh, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Tyrone. Thank you, Rampress. Thank you so much. So appreciate it. So I'm gonna switch the screen. It's gonna start to rain here a little bit, but it's not a problem. I still can do the live stream. So I'm gonna switch the screen and walk this direction in the business districts here in Taipei, and just conclude this with answering some of your questions. So let me switch the screen here. There we go. And I'm going to start walking here and have the conversation with you regarding what lies ahead right here for Taiwan. It's because, as I said, I wanted to keep this particular topic till the end to sort of provide you my own assessments and understanding as to where I see things moving forward. Well, it's no secret that we all know the tensions that exist between the US and China over this particular province right here. So, of course, some are not content with the idea that there should be no tensions right here in the Taiwan Strait, but it is what it is. And what I'm going to try to get into explaining to you is how far those tensions can sort of get out of hand. The possibility is there. However, we have to be realistic in our assessments and pragmatic about on both ends, from China part and from the US, how far they're going to push this forward. So and this is exactly what I'm going to be addressing for you. Make sure you prepare some question or two towards the end. I have to wait for the green light the red light to turn green so I can cross. I guess here is different because there are about fines for $500 Taiwanese dollars if you cross the line, and rightly so people can respect the traffic signs and so forth. But anyway, that's the key topic that I wanted to address, is where this is going to be headed and how both the Washington and Beijing will be managing this kind of tensions. Of course, we all know what the US just did recently by signing the bill, by signing the bill for $520 million for the weapon transfer to Taiwan. So more weapons here, that means more potentials for increased tensions in the region. And the reason I put the title, will Taiwan turn into another Ukraine, or could, I just, for the sake of analogy, that is this one. I know some have said already, when I look at the statements coming out of the Pentagon, that for example, the head of the 6th Fleet, I forgot his name, Admiral, mentioned that, China's gonna invade Taiwan by 2027. Well, first of all, the word invade, it's only for the Western audience to understand that is involved the military aspect. That's why I'm using the term invade, because that's the only way the Western audience will understand. Second thing is, which doesn't make any sense for a country to invade itself. So how do you expect China to invade Taiwan that is part of China? That just doesn't make any sense. I know there is this notion right here, and I've seen people thinking about the independence and so forth, which doesn't make any sense because I don't see that here. So, and this is why my big concern, do Taiwanese understand the ramification? I mean, you will think by now they have seen the, what's going on in Ukraine. And I don't understand if they do know that it does exist or not, or they do understand that reality or not. So, but in any event, this is one of the key aspects that I wanted to address with you, is the geopolitical tensions that exist and how far this is going to lead to. Will it be an issue there, or it's just going to be the Taiwanese internally will understand the ramification of if they keep going on to this independence cause and so forth. I do know one thing for fact, as one who worked in Washington and understand the ins and outs of how the administration operates. One thing the US administration have told the Taiwanese administration, doesn't matter who is in charge, they have told them that whatever you do, do not cross the red line by declaring independence. So even the Americans, for us, we understand the ramifications. But on the other hand, we pushing the politicians here to embark on this rhetoric and so forth. So the question becomes for us is how much patience Beijing will have regarding this. So the question that I'm going to ask you is that how long do you see, how long will it take for the reunification, peaceful one that is, to happen in your opinion? What do you guys think? What are we looking at? 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, 50 years? What do you think? Please type in the chat box. How long, in your opinion, do you think it will take for a peaceful reunification of Taiwan with the motherland? So that's just a question for you to consider and think. And now I have to consider, personally, I have to consider the idea of, is this going to be now for the US pushing or fomenting this kind of tensions even further? So that is one of the key concerns that I have. Why? Because when I look at two main things, and the two main things are, one of them is the $520 million that the Biden administration approved of weapons, which, by the way, even Taiwanese themselves, they have not received the F-16 that they were promised in 2019. So what it tells me is just we are giving them a lip service by selling just the parts, maybe some old planes. I'm just thinking out loud here. The second one has to do with Congress for passing the recent legislation of $1.6 billion of China, anti-China propaganda. So all this aimed at one thing and one thing only. And when you consider, okay, when you consider the alliance, if I may use the term, that is now between the US, South Korea, Japan, Philippines, and Australia. So what is all this aimed at? It aimed at one thing and one thing only, is to ensure that should the conflict erupt in this part of the world, that those allies will come to help. But here is the harsh reality that they don't understand, is that the US will not get involved in a war in this part of the world. We're pushing them forward. Is the same scenario that we are seeing in Ukraine. So now we have to look at this from another angle, which means from China's angle. Why will China wants to ensure that there will be no American presence here? And rightly so. The reason has to do with the Pacific theater. It's very, very important to understand that, because the Americans, the US administration is thinking in terms of, we cannot allow the Chinese to expand their influence into the Pacific, also by having established a military base in Taiwan. So to the Americans, Taiwan is the gateway, and Taiwan is the region where that influence is going to be pushed back against the Chinese. So, and this is why you are noticing, for example, Philippines. You all know what's going on with Philippines. That's being pushed into more tensions with China in South China Sea. That's why you're looking at Australia being dragged into this AUKUS stuff and so forth. South Korea, Japan, we all know how they are. So, and those are realities that you need to understand to put the big picture of not only from a security perspective, but how will it change the fundamental landscape of the reality or the geopolitical reality right here. This is one of the key. I looked on the map here and I thought it was closer by for me to go and visit the military installations right here in Taiwan. Well, I found one that is way up in, I think, either south, far away from here. You have to cross the waters to get to it. So it was no way for me to get there. I am sure there is the US presence over there, and we do have a presence here. It's just we don't disclose it. So, but the reality of all this is tied also to the history of what took place in this part of the world, because you need to understand one thing. And I'm going to bring up one particular unit. It's called 731. You all know the history of that unit. I'm not going to detail much of it. I'll provide just some example. Well, when you have to go back to World War II and even before, 1931, this is when the Japanese launched their invasion in Manchuria, right? 1931. Then after that one, 1939, that's where they went into China. Of course, that created major problems because that divided, it shocks the Chinese and divided society, which led into the Civil War. You know, I read in some historical record that the estimation of the people that died is the combination of Canada and Australia combined. That's how many died in that particular conflict at that time. So I want to cross the other side of the street here, guys, so I'm going to wait for the red light. And this is one of, because Unit 731, which was involved into the biological aspects of it, it was horrific. You all know, I don't know if you guys know the history of it. I'm sure you do. You read up on it. It's because we, the Americans government, benefited from that in 1945 by doing two things. One is we brought in all the scientists from Japan that they were involved in that. And second one, we brought in the scientists from Germany that were involved into the biological weapons. Of course, they were, the reading that I did was about 3,000 people were experimented on. You know, we're talking about, for example, amputation without anesthesiology, some sort of, it was very, very harsh treatment. Atrocities, it's worse that humanity has ever encountered. Well, the Chinese have experienced that invasion from the Japanese, and you can understand the dynamics of that. Still, the psychological scars of those events that took place back then. And this brings me back to my point about, do the Taiwanese understand the ramification of pushing this kind of narrative as far as we want independence, we want this, we want that. Of course, China's not going to let it happen. It is my belief, the way I see it, it is my belief that China will not embark on any military activities against Taiwan only in one condition. And that condition is if the Taiwanese government breaks the, or crosses the red light, the red line. And the red line is declaration of independence, which I don't see will happen. Because we told whomever, yeah, there's a lot of noise here, guys. I know you don't hear it because I have this nice microphone here that cancels the noise, but a lot of noise of motorcycles and cars. So this is part of where the problem is, and I don't think so Taiwanese understand this reality. It didn't sink in yet. You will think they will learn from what's taking place in Ukraine. But we have told them that, meaning the politicians in Ukraine, in Taiwan, do not cross that line, do not declare independence. We're pushing them to the, we're pushing for more tensions, but we're telling them just don't do it. Because these politicians don't get it. They don't get it that we are not gonna put American soldiers out of harm's way to defend Taiwan. It's a reality of it. because the historical record, to those who say, well, Taiwan is this, Taiwan is that. No, Taiwan has always been part of China. You know, I mean, I saw, for example, when I visited that recent place yesterday or the day before, you see the characteristic of the Qin dynasty still exists somehow through even the area itself. So the influence of that. You see, of course, the influence of the Japanese, you see the influence of the Europeans, including the Portuguese. And I have to thank Hank for sharing that info. I did not know about the Portuguese presence in this part. I was aware of it in Macau, but not here in Taiwan. So thank you very much for sharing that one. So, and this is, it's gonna be to me a crucial turning point in the history of the world if a conflict erupts in this area. I do not foresee that. The statements coming out of the Pentagon as far as, well, China's gonna invade in 2027, those statements, we've heard it, I've heard it before back in 2019, that in 2025, China will invade Taiwan. Nonsense. Nonsense, because what you need to understand, guys, is that when statements like that are made, what happened to the budget of the defense, Department of Defense? It increases, especially for the Navy. This is why, and I had a chance to read the report issued by the Navy, how much now the Chinese will surpass the Americans' Navy and so forth. Well, we all know it's not true. First of all, you know, if you do comparison aircraft to aircraft, for example, carrier that is, China has about 4, the US has about 11. There is no denying that China is planning on about having 460 warships built within next 5 years or so. So it's substantial. But to go as far as saying, oh, the Chinese is going to dominate the US Navy, it's not right. It's not true. But the US part will have to say that so they can justify the budget. So China understands well that it does not make sense for it to get involved in a conflict. And it makes sense also for us as observers to understand the history of China. Does not have invasions and conquests and so forth in its history. It doesn't have that. And this is why it's important when you hear statements coming out of the commander or the admiral of the Sixth Fleet that China's going to invade in 2027. No, it's just to justify the budget spending. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's for to get more money, especially for the Navy. That's all it is. So the other aspects I want to talk to you about, guys, is understanding where things are going to go forward with the next administration in the U.S. So now, depending again on who's going to win the elections. In my opinion, and again, both are not qualified, we don't have any leaders to begin with. But let's just go with the hypothesis that, or the possibility that Donald Trump wins the election. His vice president candidate, J.D. Vance, already mentioned about the need for support for Taiwan. And the whole reason for that is to keep the conversation or the narrative alive. Like what you hear now about Ukraine. The narrative is dying. You know why? Because it turns out to be all these hypes about Ukraine is going to win the war and this and that turns out to be nothing but a lie. And the government, Western government, will have to justify the narrative. This is why you are not hearing the truth from mainstream media for a reason. I see the same arguments can be made about Taiwan right here. So, unfortunately, is that the young generation here in Taiwan, they don't understand the ramifications of a conflict. Now, the older generation is different. They went through, they saw whatever they saw when they were young and so forth. But for the young generation, they have no clue. And I don't even think that they are, even though I was told here, I asked that Taiwan has increased now the number of reserves. What it's going to do? I don't know. I don't know, because Any fighting conflict or military conflict is going to involve some heavy weaponry. So, and this young generation here, it's same for us in the U.S. They're not equipped to fight. They are not, you know, it's beyond. They just like the comfort life and so forth. But and this is where I see the concern personally that I have as to where this is going to lead forward within the next 2-3 years, because that's how early I am thinking. I do know that back in Beijing, they're going to have to think differently about this, and they are thinking differently about it. I'm not talking in terms of the military activities, whatever. No, because here's the thing, guys. What I notice here is that this province is given the freedom to live the way it wants. You know, I don't see, right here, I don't see any authorities forcing whatever. So I don't see all that. So Beijing made it clear. It's kind of, yeah, you can do whatever you want to do there, but as long as you maintain that you are part of the mainland China, and it has always been. So to me, it makes sense. Why would you want to jeopardize this status quo? The reunification, in my opinion, will happen one day, one way or another. Hopefully, it will be in a peaceful means. But for us, the Americans, we are not wanting to see that outcome, because we're gonna lose out. Profits, remember, money, conflicts, weapons. That's basically what it is. And my big concern is always for the civilian people. The majority of people here, I don't think so they acquire the necessary understanding of the ramification of a conflict like that. So this is the way I see it, and this is why any head of a government here will have to take the marching orders from Washington and keep up the narrative. So it's because you have other countries like Japan and South Korea and Australia, and now even Philippines. They are going in the wrong direction. That just, to me, I see it. I was talking to someone from Philippines when I was riding a bus. And we were talking, and they were like, yeah, we don't understand what Marcos is doing, let alone the corruption that exists. And I told her, I said, let me just share one thing with you. Also, you need to understand that it's not your president that is making decisions, it's your military establishment. And she looks at me like I'm speaking some foreign languages. She was shocked. She was shocked that I shared that with her. And she looked to me like an average Filipino people. I see that's the problem. And I see the same thing here. So people, the younger generation, they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get the ramifications of a military conflict here. They won't be able to walk here freely as they may think. It's because the massive destruction that will take place. Look at Ukraine as a case in point. Even though I do not expect that tension, military one, that is to take place right here in Taiwan. I do not foresee that. But on the other hand, how much China can be patient, and for us, the US will push the narrative even harder as we move forward. Like I said, I read some stats. So far, I think Taiwan, since about 60s or 70s, somewhere around that, guys. I don't remember exactly. All I remember is the number. So far, Taiwan received almost about $50 billion, or $20 billion, I'm sorry. No, $50 billion in weapons. Number one being Saudi Arabia of $263 billion. Taiwan is up there with the numbers. What is that for? And to me, this is where the issue, when you compare, if you focus on the economy and infrastructure, you have a better outcome than if you focus on conflicts. You look at the TSMC, right? The chip manufacturing here, whatever. They make a good money, but that money is not translated to right here. I'm still seeing a basic infrastructure, okay? I'm still seeing, you know, normal transportation. I didn't even see any electric vehicle here yet. Not that they have to have it. All I'm saying is just highlighting the buildings that I'm in, and I am right here. This live is from the business district. I'm going to show you the tower, so this way you know where I am, right here. This is the Taipei Tower. And I went inside, walked around. It's normal to me like every other tower, that the basics. Okay? But to me, it's not about that. It's about the lives of the average person here. That's how. So if we are to say, well, there is this massive company that makes chips for the rest of the world and wealthy and make enough money, where is that here? I don't see it. I just don't see it. But again, I'm not criticizing here. I am highlighting and pointing out where things are. So, and like I said earlier, look, I'm thinking about China's perspective into all this. China also will have to think in terms of the system that has helped it become what it is today. China's not going to go and risk that. The Chinese think about the next 20, 25, 50, 100 years or so. Look at just their history. This is why I'm saying I do not see the Chinese embarking on a military activity here in Taiwan, unless the Taiwanese government or the provincial, whatever that is, decided to declare independence, which I don't see them doing that. And once again, I can't stress enough that it really concerns me that from what I'm gathering, and the guys have been around long enough to know what to look for, and they are not grasping the severity of what if. Yeah, what if scenario. That is where I see the big concern. Some say, well, Taiwan has the anti-aircraft missile system. Yeah, it's not going to cut it. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Yeah, you have anti-aircraft missile, whatever. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it, because the conflict is going to take a different aspects of it, and we know that's reality how it is. I did go by the train station yesterday, and I did see some. I'll admit it. Again, not to judge whatever, but I did see. I noticed very, very slightly different. So don't get me wrong here, guys. It's my first trip to the mainland and to here. Most likely I will not be back here, because that's all I need to see. For me, there's not much. I wanted to be here on the ground to do my own assessment as to where I see things going forward. If I am to go back, I am going back to mainland, because that's where the developments are. That's where, to me, that's where things are. And I'd rather be there than be here. No offense, and I'm not I'm not advocating for China or whatever. I am advocating for what's right and what's factual. And you know me, guys, I'm about facts. That's why my next trip, for example, down the road, I'm not going to go back to Shanghai. Yes, it will be nice to visit, but I'm going to go visit some other areas in China that I need to see. That's just how it works, because that's the whole point of all this. And that's part of why I'm going to cross over, because I'm almost 30 minutes here. I noticed a lot of Indonesian people visiting here. That's just part of the. I think this is the business district right here. That's where I'm at. So I don't even know the name of it, because it doesn't say on this one here. But did you visit Xinjiang, Doc? No, I did not, and I have to do that trip standalone by itself. Same with Beijing. I didn't want to go to Beijing because 2 days in Beijing is not enough. And plus, I like to go to the wall and all that stuff and read all that stuff. I don't like just to do visiting for a day or two. But I did that in Shenzhen, and I wish I would have scheduled it differently, because I need more days in Shenzhen to see the transformation even further. One of you guys, and thank you to the person who did that, put a comment about if I had a chance to visit the bridge in Guangzhou that took place during the Opium War. I did not know about that one, and I missed that opportunity. And I will do it again when I go back. So that's to me the bottom line to all these guys. I am looking at the possibility for an entity, be it Taiwan province, whatever, for it to prosper, or even India for that matter. You all know the issue with India. India is not willing to sit down and have direct talks with China to, first of all, resolve the issues, and second, figure out a way of how to improve its economic infrastructure. They're not willing to do that. So whether it is fear from the United States, whether it is pressure by the United States, I don't know. I can't speak to that. And I see the same arguments here, that it will behoove Taiwan to think in terms of improving the economics here, infrastructure. There is a lot to be done here. Based on what I'm seeing, there is a lot to be done here. So, because to me, progress is not about just freedom. Yeah, look at us back home. Yeah, we have freedom, whatever type of freedom you want to, even though it's not a freedom, when you start having, you know, censorship and you have this and you have that, what kind of freedom is that? And this is why I can't warn enough that for Taiwan to think in terms, it needs to think very hard and think long term if it does not want to turn into Ukraine, because that is what will happen if a conflict erupts here. And for us Americans, we are not gonna get involved. We say, here, we'll provide you weapons. Bring in the Japanese, bring in the South Koreans, bring in the Filipinos, and even some of Australia. And we said, hey, you guys go fight the Chinese. We're not gonna be involved. That's what I see happening. And that is exactly why I put that title the way I did, because I want to think far ahead. So I'm sure you can read between the lines to understand why I am aiming, or why I worded that way in the same direction. All right, guys, let me finish crossing here. I can run. So they have to manage traffic here. And this is exactly what it's going on with all. Hello? Where are you from, eh?
Philippines.
Philippines?
Yeah.
I was just talking about Philippines. What part in Philippines you from?
Manila.
Can I show your face here?
Okay.
You were okay? Yeah, it is just somebody I met here. I just want to say hi. It's from Philippines, from Manila. That's where they are. Yeah, I talk a lot about your country. Yeah, I'm a geopolitical analyst. And I know a lot of people in Philippines because they are wonderful people. But the government is not working for the people. Same with my own government back in Washington. So I don't shy away, because I worked with Filipino people. Hardworking. They deserve better. So Marcos better get it together, because it's not right what he's doing to the Filipino people. It's not right. Nice meeting you all, guys. Yeah, there's wonderful Filipino people here. And as I told you, there are a lot of people from different parts of the world visiting here. So the same what I saw in Shanghai, and saw in Guangzhou, and so forth. So the bottom line, guys, and I'm going to wrap this up. I just need you to understand why I decided to address this issue to the last minute, or the last before I leave Taipei, is because I want to put that question for you to be thinking in terms of what if? What if? And that is the concern that I have, and I am going to be thinking as I move forward and return back home, and I will address this topic for you as I move forward. Dr. O, you see a lot of security cameras in the mainland. Yes, I do. There are a lot of security cameras, but also their safety. Same thing here. I've seen some cameras here, you know, not the same amount, of course, but again, the province of Taiwan is small. I mean, what do you expect? You know, I'm going to show you, where is, yeah, I don't see, I saw them on a traffic light when I was crossing. There are cameras over there. But you don't see, it's not as much as mainland, but again, I don't know about some areas here, safety-wise. So far I've been around just where there are massive amount of people and so forth, because touristy area, that's about it. So, yeah, I like this sign here, guys. I'm gonna share it with you. Look at that. It just says love, that's all. So. All right, guys, let me answer a question or two from you before I sign off, until I get back to you from Shanghai, before I leave mainland China back home. So, what are those cameras for, Doc? Which ones? The one here in Taiwan, in Taipei? Is that what you meant? If you're talking about the ones in mainland, that have different purposes based on my conversation with people. First of all, for security reasons. Second, the technological advances. Because here is the thing, something that is not talked about a lot around the world, and especially in the technological realm. Do you guys know that last year, it was a survey, and I forgot the name of the, I'll get you that one when I go back home, because I want to make sure, but I did read it somewhere. Survey from a think tank. They conducted a survey as far as the technological advancements around the world in a recent decade or so. Out of about 40 or 45, something like that, out of that, 34 were from China. But do we hear much about it? No, we don't. And the example that I can give you, it has to do with Huawei. The technologies of Huawei that has advanced despite the restrictions by the US. And this is what I'm saying. And when you look at that, you look at the technological advancements inside the country, meaning mainland. And that was my point or arguments earlier, as far as if we are to see and hear about this TSMC making these billions of dollars and all that, where is that? I don't see that here. Don't get me wrong, there is some wealth here. I noticed few things, so there's some wealth here. I can tell also by the type of vehicles, and you see some high-end stuff. But not everybody lives that kind of life here. And if you don't take care of your basic, in other words, the basis of society, that's the average people that work regularly, that's going to be a challenging to do so. That is the difference. So. That's so far what I am noticing. So, okay, guys, just to wrap this up, this is my last live stream from here, from Taipei. I will be heading out back to Shanghai tomorrow. I'll spend a few days, and I'll fly back home. Then I will get on and do a live stream for you next time when I am back in the United States. But I will do one for you from Shanghai when I get there. Let me answer one or two questions. Any questions, guys, before I sign off? All right, Taipei is nice. I went there before. Yeah, I'm not denying that. It's a nice city to visit and so forth. So it's just, if I am to compare, there is still a lot of work needs to be done here. So and that is what I am noticing. So it just, there is a lot of work needs to be done. Okay, let's see. How work fed in Taiwan? I don't understand this question, GL. If you can reword it, please. Why people are willing to be used by US? It's when you say people, we're referring to the governments. Yeah. I don't know what the pressure on the Taiwanese government here or the officials, whatever. But it's not going to bode well for the average citizen. That is where the concern ought to be. So, woke to max in many ways. Unfortunately, islanders think. Yeah, it has the feel of an island. So I've been in some islands before, and this one has a feel to it. So of course it's an island after all. So that's the. All right, have you seen any homeless people since you landed there? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Even yesterday when I was in Shindaman, in the food street, I did see some. But here is the surprising part. One of them didn't realize that I was looking from a distance, and he was on the ground asking for money, whatever. It was till later on, he went to another corner and pull up an iPhone. Now a homeless person will have to have an iPhone and a cigarettes, whatever, well, that's to me problematic. I was about to give some money to the guy, but when I saw that, I was like, I'm sorry, someone else will deserve that better. Not to judge, it just didn't make sense to me. A homeless person with an iPhone, that's kind of, that's like we saw back home. People on welfare, and when they go check out at the grocery store, they're pulling up this iPhone and driving whatever Cadillac. So that's to me problematic. That means they are taking advantage of the system. But also because our system is corrupted. Simple as that. Let me answer one more question. Okay, some homeless just have family page psych problem. That's true. In the UK, some beggars drive back home after work. Wow. UK is getting bad economically. I've been reading, and Hank's been sharing some comments. By the way, guys, make sure to read the comments in the community. There are some important information there that some of the channel supporters put in their own thoughts there. They're very, very informational if you are interested. Singapore needs the US to protect her against, oh, I couldn't read the last part here, so. Yeah, Singapore is a small, but Singapore doesn't have to, it's not like a country is gonna invade Singapore. No, there's nothing of that. Okay, where are the LGBT parade? I did see some on the other side near that Shendeman, because that's where there's a place for gay people and all that. And I kind of got some stares, some smiles per se. Like, I was just laughing, shaking my head. So, and I know Zhuge Liang warned me about that. I won't worry about that. I won't worry about it. So, as long as they stay away. So, I won't tolerate nonsense. If anybody gets closer, I'm authorized to defend myself by any means. So, that is what I do. There are some people passing by here. So, okay, guys, stay away, Dr. O. I will. Don't worry. I'll manage that one. I don't have to worry about that. I usually stare, and if I stare, they kind of walk away. That's just how I do it. So. All right, guys, I am going to sign off here. Once again, it's been a pleasure doing these lives for you from all the locations that I've been at. I am very grateful and thankful for your continued support, your feedback, your positive energy, and really, it's what keeps me going, and I am thankful to that. There are some nasty ones, but we all know we don't worry about that. It's not worth it. So we think positive in this community. So let me switch the screen here to say bye to you guys, and till I get back to, here we go. I'm just switching the screen. Till I get back to Shanghai, and I'll do another live stream for you guys from there. Then I'll wrap up my trip to China and go back home. I want to let you know, I do have a surprise for you. It's gonna have to wait till I get back home for a few days. You will know about it, and I will be talking to you after that. So, all right, guys, I hope you find this very interesting, informative. Share your thoughts, share your feedback, share your assessments and all that with the community, and I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.